I want to show you a really simple tool that you can easily install into Eclipse that will make it so that you can do continuous testing. If you go to the JUnit page under JUnit.org, then from this wiki, you can find at the bottom this section on continuous testing. In here, there's an IDE plugin page for Infinitest. If you go to Infinitest, right here you can see this little icon that you can drag and drop into an existing Eclipse window, and it'll automatically get you set up to install Infinitest. So all we have to do is basically drag this into our Eclipse. It'll bring up the Eclipse marketplace and take us to Infinitest already, and then we can just click through to install Infinitest. We'll then have to restart Eclipse, of course. And now you'll notice that it says Infinitest is waiting for changes. So now what we can do is we can basically make some changes to our code, and then it's automatically going to run our tests. So I'm just going to make a change to our source code in our tracking service. I'll just make it so that this is, instead of 0, a 1. And when I save, you'll notice that it tells me that 6 test cases ran because it's going to run those tests. If we look at our console output, you can see that it has all these before class, before and afters because it ran those tests. And if we look at the problems, it'll show us any tests that failed. For example, we had an assertion error where 1 was expected, but we got 0. If we look at our parameterized test, that's where that one's coming from. And if we go ahead and fix this, if we add this 0 and save, you can see it ends up running our test again. It tells us 3 test cases were ran in this case, and we have 2 errors. And now is probably a good time for us to go ahead and take out these before and afters because they're showing up every time that we run our test. So let's go ahead and take out the print lines that are in these. And you can see when I saved that file, it actually ran 1 test case because it did modify this test, so it needed to run this test. And we're still seeing an error. Let's go ahead and take a look at our console. And we've got actually 2 errors. The one was expected, but we got a 0, and then this timeout. Let's go ahead and fix these to make this a little bit more clean. What we'll do is when we do this, we should be expecting a 0. And I'll save, and you can see how that error disappears immediately, telling me that I fixed that. And then this other one, we have this exception on the timeout. Let's make this timeout a little bit longer. And when I save, it's running our test again. It's still timed out. Let's add 1 more 0 to the end of this, or rather, let's go ahead and reduce this loop down so that it doesn't time out. And now you can see that everything has passed. So you can see that this is a really useful tool for doing this feedback loop or reducing this feedback loop of I change a test or I change some source code, I want to see the results immediately, and it makes it a lot faster than what we had been doing before where I would make a change and then I'd go in here and I'd rerun the test. Instead, if it's running it for me, it makes things much easier.